Five Nights at Freddy's has become one of the most marketable video game franchises of all time, which I think is pretty weird because this is a horror franchise, but it's like up there with Mario and Sonic as like the most marketable video game franchise. Like, I get it, the characters are super marketable, but like, it's insane how much merchandise we get. We got plushes, we got keychains, we got Lego sets. Well, not really Lego sets, but Lego sets. Like, anything you could think of, there has been Five Nights at Freddy's merch for it. But one thing that I think the franchise kind of lacked in is action figures. It's not like as if they don't exist, they're just not very good. Funko is the biggest company that makes Five Nights at Freddy's merch. They released action figures back in like 2016, with their first wave being Five Nights at Freddy's 1 characters and Springtrap, and I thought these figures looked pretty cool. But other than that, they really didn't improve on this formula, which, you know, if it isn't broken, don't fix it. But I think it's come to a point now where they should probably fix it, because the figures just got worse over time, in my opinion. It reached the breaking point with the release of the Security Breach action figures. Now, these released back in late 2020 when the game was initially revealed, and actually these figures getting leaked is how we found out the names of the characters in the new game, which is a little fun fact for you. These released back in late 2020 and they aren't very good at all. They are some of the worst action figures I've ever seen, and I would consider these to be the worst Five Nights at Freddy's action figures we've ever gotten. The entire wave consisted of Freddy, Chica, Roxy, Monty, and Vanny, and one thing you may notice is that they don't look very good, and that's because Funko is very lazy. I think now they're starting to get on the right track with the Sun and Moon figures actually being really good and being completely brand new molds, but back when these figures came out, they were doing the bare minimum. And for 3 years, my GameStop just could not sell these until finally this year they got rid of all their figures. One thing I noticed is that Chica is the one that isn't selling, and I wonder why. Finally, I was able to escape these really awful action figures until I went to Second and Charles and they had the entire wave there, so I decided it would be really funny to buy the Security Breach action figures. I only got Freddy and Roxy. I decided it'd be funny to get them, so now I gotta make a video about them. Oh shit, I didn't mean to break that. Now, before you ask, I still am sick from my last video, but now I got 2 ear infections and a sinus infection going right now, so that's absolutely fantastic, which is why I look so miserable. Even though it's normal for me to look miserable, that explains why I look like this and kind of sound bleh. Now, believe it or not, this isn't the first time I've owned Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach action figures. I actually bought Montgomery Gator back in 2020 when it initially released. The figure was so bad that I waited an entire year to open it, and then once I did, I just destroyed it for a YouTube video. And then after the YouTube video, I just threw it away. I did not like the action figure. But taking a look at the packaging, it's your very typical Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach packaging with black and red on the back, and it says the name of the character. You have the logo, and on the back you have the rest of the figures in the wave. Now, out of the 2 figures we got, I think I'll take a look at Freddy first. His arm's already off. Taking a look at Freddy Fazbear out of the packaging, he's not as bad as I thought he would be, but also he's not good either. Like, this is an objectively bad figure, but it's not as awful as I was thinking it would be. One thing that kind of sucks is that this is literally just a retool of existing Freddy Fazbear figures and not a completely brand new sculpt. Because of the fact that the Glamrock Freddy animatronic is so different from any other animatronic we've gotten in the Five Nights at Freddy series, and would make a great action figure, I think. I should know because I'm an action figure enthusiast. By that I mean I love wasting money on plastic. This is a very poor excuse of a Glamrock Freddy action figure because he is not good at all. Most of the new parts here are just retools of existing parts, and they decided not to change the formula at all that they've been doing since 2016, which is just a whole bunch of ball joints that easily pop off. I think the ball joint concept is pretty good, especially for the earlier designs of the characters, but unfortunately from Security Breach onward, just the ball joint design just does not work. Except for Sun and Moon. It worked for Sun and Moon. The paint does not look good at all. One positive I will say is that the articulation is pretty good. There's some areas that I wish it was better, like on the shoulder. I wish that he had more range in the arm, but I get that these shoulder pads are kind of in the way. There's ball joints everywhere except for the lower part of the torso, which is just a swivel, which I think is kind of fine. And for accessories, he does come with a... It comes with a stand and a microphone. How did I forget that? Next up, we're taking a look at Roxanne Wolf, which is the exact same packaging as Glamrock Freddy. Oh. Well, her leg came off while I was opening. Alright, so having Roxanne Wolf out of the packaging, this figure is visually looks better than Freddy, but that's not a high bar. You could tell they just kind of reused their previous Foxy molds but added hair to it, and it doesn't really work because it doesn't look like Roxy at all. Like, look at this and then look at Roxy. Completely different looks. The torso down is actually pretty good and looks pretty accurate to the character. Unfortunately, these ball joints just kind of ruin it a bit for me personally, just because the design of the characters in Security Breach doesn't really warrant these giant joints in between, unlike the earlier games where there was obvious joints between each body part. But in Security Breach, it's a pretty seamless design. Unfortunately, the ball joints kind of suck. First off, these joints are super loose, which is not good at all for an action figure, but the articulation is pretty similar to Freddy's, except the head doesn't really move that much. And also, I forgot to mention this with Freddy, but the hands also swivel, and also the torso. Well, the torso is supposed to move side to side. That was what I was trying to show you, but the legs just popped off. Oh, and also I forgot to mention she comes with her little guitar thingy mabob. I don't know what it's called because I'm not a musician. I think if you take one thing away from this video is that these figures kind of suck, and that two, they really need to fix these. Now, before this video ends, I want to give some ideas of what I think an ideal action figure would be for the designs we see in Security Breach. This is an SH Figuarts Buzz Lightyear. He's kind of got a similar build to Glamrock Freddy, kind of. Now, hear me out here. I think a company like SH Figuarts could make the perfect Glamrock figures from Security Breach. I've been thinking this for like the last year now, and unfortunately, we haven't really seen it yet. So I don't know who to contact and make this happen, but I would love to see this happen. Anyway, I should be asleep right now because I'm still sick. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's gonna be a very awful video. I can feel it in my bones right now. For some reason, the video was an MKV file. Like, who the fuck uses MKV files? I've literally never used MKV files. Why? Why?